Project Freedom is underway, a U.S. effort to guide stranded ships through the Strait of Hormuz. Secretary Pete Hegseth has this warning for Iran.
Project Freedom is defensive in nature, focused in scope, and temporary in duration, with one mission: protecting innocent commercial shipping from Iranian aggression. We're not looking for a fight, but Iran also cannot be allowed to block innocent countries and their goods from an international waterway. Iran's plan, a form of international extortion, is unacceptable.
NewsNation senior congressional correspondent Joe Khalil joining us live in Doha with more details about the operation's next steps. Joe, and the secretary was asked directly, is there still a ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran, to which he answered yes.
Yeah, one of several headlines I think were made in that press briefing. The first one right off the top, Marni, was that he said that the operation called Project Freedom is going to continue. They are going to keep trying to get these ships that have been stranded in the Strait through, despite the fact that Iran has opened fire on those ships, on U.S. naval ships unsuccessfully, and that Iran has fired successfully on UAE ships and other places here in the Gulf. So as that moves forward, Secretary Hegseth said that any response from Iran militarily on this project is going to be met with overwhelming fire by the United States. So that was one key headline there. The other one that he tried to maintain was that this is a show of force for the United States to basically demonstrate to the world that it is the United States and not Iran that is in control of the Strait of Hormuz. And again, despite the U.S. sinking 6 Iranian boats yesterday, and despite the fact that Iran did open fire on several U.S. ships, Secretary Hegseth maintains, as does General Kane, that that ceasefire is still in place. This is how he explained that.
No, the ceasefire is not over. Ultimately, this is a separate and distinct project.
He went on, as did General Kane, who actually said that since this blockade began, Iran has fired 9 times on commercial vessels, 10 times on U.S. military assets, and has seized 2 ships. And despite all of that, General Kane says none of that actually rises to the level where the U.S. would continue major military operations, i.e. strikes inside of Iran. So what that tells me, sort of reading between the lines here, is that while you've seen effectively the ceasefire broken, there is still a line and maybe a hope that the U.S. and Iran can get back to the negotiating table. Now, they didn't explicitly say that, but they are seemingly protecting that title of ceasefire. Now, we haven't heard anything from the Iranians since Secretary Hegseth and General Kane spoke, which was just an hour ago. But overnight, what the Iranians were saying after opening fire on U.S. ships was that this is not going to effectively come to an end militarily, that it must be done diplomatically. And we heard that from several Iranian officials, most notably their foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi. He then warned the U.S. Not to get sort of duped into another quagmire by, in his words, ill-wishers. He ended with Project Freedom is Project Deadlock. So we're waiting to see how the Iranians respond to the Secretary and to General Kane. But right now, it remains clear the U.S. is going to continue to push these ships through the Strait of Hormuz. The question is going to be whether those ships that belong to some private corporations and in some cases other countries are going to trust whether they can actually get through. I've already heard some reporting locally here, Marni, that there were 2 Qatari ships set to go through the strait yesterday, escorted by American ships. And since Iran started firing missiles, they have pulled back. So the fear factor alone may actually hamper this operation. I think that's going to be a big question as well moving forward.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.